Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class, which is from Canto 2 in Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is entitled, Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. And this morning we're doing text 38. So without further ado, we'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivājagasāja Stotra Satsutimadis Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivājagasāja Stotra Satsutimadis Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavin Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से द्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपकुंद श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय सामवेद भक्तवृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Krishna Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tere Swami Nityanamani Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddharthani Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Jayatityanami Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Gudirayat Nashta Prayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatu Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 38. Again, singing with the meter of the Govindamadi Purusha. Yarhy ālayeṣv satāṁ hareḥ kathāḥ pāṣaṇḍino dvija-janā vṛṣalā nṛdevāḥ svāhā svadhā vaṣaḍ giro yatra śāstā bhaviṣyati kaler bhagavān yugānte yarhy ālayeṣv satāṁ hareḥ kathāḥ pāṣaṇḍino dvija-janā vṛṣalā nṛdevāḥ svāhā svadhā vaṣaḍ giro yatra śāstā bhaviṣyati kaler bhagavān yugānte yarhy ālayeṣv satāṁ hareḥ kathāḥ pāṣaṇḍino dvija-janā vṛṣalā nṛdevāḥ svāhā svadhā vaṣaḍ giro yatra śāstā bhaviṣyati kaler bhagavān yugānte. Hare Krishna. Please chant. Maybe dear Krishna Prabhu, if you're there.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yarhy ālayeṣv api satāṁ na hareḥ kathāḥ syuḥ pāṣaṇḍino dvija-janā vṛṣalā nṛdevāḥ svāhā svadhā vaṣaḍ iti sma giro na yatra śāstā bhaviṣyati kaler bhagavān yugānte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
yarhy ālayeṣv api satāṁ na hareḥ kathāḥ pāṣaṇḍino dvija-janā vṛṣalā nṛdevāḥ svāhā svadhā vaṣaḍ iti sma giro na yatra śāstā bhaviṣyati kaler bhagavān yugānte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yarhy ālayeṣv api satāṁ na hareḥ kathāḥ pāṣaṇḍino dvija-janā vṛṣalā nṛdevāḥ svāhā svadhā vaṣaḍ iti sma giro yatra śāstā bhaviṣyati kaler bhagavān yugānte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? We'll do word for word now. Hare Krishna. Yarhy, when it happens. ālayeṣv, in the residence of. Api, even. Satāṁ, civilized gentlemen. Na, no. Hare, of the personality of Godhead. Kathāḥ, topics. Syuḥ, will take place. pāṣaṇḍino, atheist. dvija-janā, persons declaring themselves to be the higher three classes, Brahman, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. vṛṣalā, the lower class, śūdras. nṛdevāḥ, ministers of the government. svāhā, hymns to perform sacrifices. svadhā, the ingredients to perform sacrifices. vaṣaḍ, the altar of sacrifice. iti, all these. sma, shall. gira, words. na, never. yatra, anywhere. śāstā, the chastiser. bhaviṣyati, will appear. Kali, of the Kali age, Bhagavān, the personality of Godhead, yugānte, at the end of. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thereafter, at the end of Kali-yuga, when there exist no topics on the subject of God, even at the residences of so-called saints and respectable gentlemen of the three higher castes, and when the power of government is transferred to the hands of ministers elected from the lowborn śūdra class or those less than them, and when nothing is known of the techniques of sacrifice, even by word, at that time, the Lord will appear as the supreme chastiser. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The symptoms of the worst conditions of the material world at the last stage of this age called Kali-yuga are stated herein. The sum and substance of such conditions is godlessness. Even the so-called saints and the higher castes of the social orders, generally known as the dvija-janās or the twice-born, will become atheists. As such, all of them will practically forget even the holy name of the Lord and what to speak of his activities. The higher castes of society, namely the intelligent class of men guiding the destinies of the social orders, the administrative class of men guiding the law and order of the society, and the productive class of men guiding the economic development of the society, must all be properly well versed in the knowledge of the Supreme Lord, knowing factually his name, quality, pastimes, entourage, paraphernalia, and personalities. The saints and the higher castes or orders of the society are judged by their proportion of knowledge in the science of God, or tattva-gyan, and not by any kind of birthright or bodily designations. Such designations without any knowledge of the science of God and practical knowledge of devotional service are considered to be all decorations of dead bodies. And when there is too much inflation of these decorated dead bodies in society, there develop so many anomalies in the progressive, peaceful life of the human being. Because of the lack of training or culture in the upper section of the social orders, they are no more to be designated as the dvija-janās or the twice-born. The significance of being twice-born has been explained in many places in these great literatures. And again, one is reminded herewith that birth executed by the sex life of the father and the mother is called animal birth. Such animal birth and progress of life of the animal principles of eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating without any scientific culture of spiritual life is called the śūdra life, or to be more explicit, the uncultured life of the lower class of men. It is stated herein that the governmental power of society in the Kali-yuga will be passed over to the uncultured, godless laborer classes of men, and thus the nṛdevāḥs, or the ministers of the government, will be the vṛṣalās, or the uncultured lower class men of society. No one can expect any peace and prosperity in a human society full of uncultured lower class of men. The symptoms of such uncultured social animals are already in vogue, and it is the duty of the leaders of men to take note of it and try to reform the social order by introducing the principles of twice-born men trained in the science of God consciousness. This can be done by expanding the culture of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world. In the degraded condition of human society, the Lord incarnates as the Kalki avatar and kills all the demonic without mercy. Om Gyanati Mirandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshu Amritam Dhyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manogistam Stapitam Dhyena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Charini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prima Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Guratiche Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. So, the English translation again. Thereafter, at the end of Kali-yuga, when there exist no topics on the subject of God, even at the residences of the so-called saints and respectable gentlemen of the three higher castes, and when the power of government is transferred to the hands of ministers elected from the lowborn śūdra class, or those less than them, and when nothing is known of the techniques of sacrifice, even by word, at that time, the Lord will appear as the supreme chastiser. Hare Krishna. So, the title of this chapter is the scheduled incarnations and their specific functions. So, at the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that particular incarnation by name. His name is Kalki. So, Kalki Avatar is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he will come at the end of this age. The end of this age is about 427,000 years away. But life now involves so much degradation. It is symptomatic of what's about to happen. Actually, the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam begins immediately from text 1 all the way almost up to text 30, listing the things that's going to happen in Kali-yuga, what life is going to be like, what people will be doing, and in the end, who will come, which means the Kalki Avatar, and how after this this age, Kali-yuga, how the whole transition back to Satya Yuga will be will go down or will occur. All explained there. We're saying that to say that if we have time, we'll read the first verses, at least 25 verses of Canto 12 of Srimad Bhagavatam, and you will get the picture. As time permits, though, in this next time, I mention some things on it, depending on the permission of my Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. So the translation says, at the end of Kali-yuga. So Kali-yuga, which is 1,000 years of the demigods, or the 1,200 years of the demigods, 1,200 years of the demigods. When we say that 1,200, if you want to know how it is converted to our years, multiply by 360. 1,200 years by years of the demigods, multiply by 360. That would give you 432,000 years. So it actually breaks down this way. I just want to digress it a little bit. So Satya Yuga will come later after Kali Yuga. The cycle will start again. The cycle is Satya, then Treta, then Dwapa, then Kali. And according to the English way of describing these same ages, there's going to be the golden age, then there will be the silver age, then there will be the copper age, then there will be the iron age. And that is the cycle. So we are in the iron age now, Kali-yuga. Also, there will be a slight change. We're talking about the cosmic time. When we say slight, it doesn't mean that, in a few seconds. We're talking about quite a few years. To be specific, 10,000 years. there will be that time where the planets, according to what my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj explained to me, the mood here on this planet will be like a heavenly type planet. It will be like that. It doesn't mean that the opulences of this earth will be like an opulences of a heavenly planet, but the mood definitely will be. And this place will also be where people are quite taken care of. Actually, this earth has everything supplied for it to be quite decent to live on, even if it's a deal. But we have made it more difficult on ourselves by bringing in things which are not fair, by bringing in things that are not just, and by trying to cheat another person, the other person, at a national level, at an international level, and so on. And that's why now life is quite difficult. And people are jostling around to try to get something of peaceful nature, trying to find, right down to the way of life. People are trying, we are leading, the way of life we're leading now. People are trying to find a better situation. And they think better jobs would do it. So find a job that pays better. And many people in their jobs, they're not satisfied. Either they are being mistreated, they're being cheated. More is being asked of them than what they were told that would happen when they interviewed for the job in the first place. So there's all of these imbalances, and people simply are not happy. But in the Bhagavad Gita, the way to get peace is described. You surrender to Krishna. Bhoktaram yagyata pasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam. These are the three conditions. Then you get shanti, you get peace. To recognize and live life in such a way that all penances are directed towards the Lord for the Lord's benefit. All sacrifices are given to the Lord for the Lord's benefit. See, we say, but what about us? No, the whole point about living is when you satisfy the Supreme Creator, then you get satisfied. That's how it works. The Lord has set up that there is exchange of love. When you surrender and give yourself to the Lord, then the Lord makes sure that you're protected and you're well cared for. That's how it works. Therefore, when we give to the Lord, we gain. So, the person that understands that all sacrifices and all penances are to be done for the benefit of the Lord, to understand that the Lord is the controller of everything. Not only the controller, he's the creator through Mahavishnu of the material world and through Balaram of the spiritual world. And they are all expansions or expansions of the expansions of the Lord. So to understand that, everything is done through the Supreme Personality of Godhead's energies and expansions. And he is the head of everyone, including the demigods, because people sometimes live life like the demigods are the only important personalities in their lives, and they have puja to them and they surrender totally to them. Demigods are not the topmost. They are empowered personalities for different aspects of the functioning of the material world. That's it. Whatever they got that they use in functioning, doing their functions, it's supplied by Lord Vishnu. They don't own anything, just like we don't own anything. But we keep saying that, oh, this is mine, that's mine. Well, it's easy to disprove that. We're born with nothing. We come as babies, don't have anything. When we leave, we can't take anything with us. The planet is there before we come onto it, living at the surface of the planet. We're born with nothing. We leave with nothing, so we can't own anything. Saying that something on this earth belongs to us, it's a farce. The countries at the international level, people are struggling to try to get as much gold as possible so that their currency will have more weight. They're trying to get as much gold as possible, but who put the gold there? People go to gold mines and they mine and the gold comes out. But who put the gold there, though? So that's why we have to understand Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. everything is, he's a controller of everything. He's the creator of everything, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the emotional part. He's also the well-wisher of every single living entity. If we understand it that way, what would we do? We would surrender utterly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and live our lives with that knowledge that he is control of everything and he's our well-wisher. And then we live our lives in such that we do all the activities directly or indirectly to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the Bhagavad Gita says, we will be peaceful. Everyone that does that will be peaceful wherever they are. They'll be protected, they'll be guided, and so on. So in this Kali-yuga that we're in, yes, there are all kinds of situations that we feel now, even though we're only 5,000, 5,000 years into this Kali-yuga, which is 432,000 years. There exists that time, as the translation says in this text, the Kalki avatar will come. The Lord will appear as the supreme chastiser, the supreme punisher. Why? Because at the end of Kali-yuga, there will be no topics on the subject of God, which means there will be no discussions. You can be sure about one thing, this program will be long gone. People won't, not that technology won't be there, but people wouldn't want to discuss Krishna. There will be no Krishna kathāḥ at the end of Kali-yuga. So take advantage of it while it's there, because this is what develops love of Godhead and gives us opportunity to go back to Godhead also. So even the residences at the places of the so-called sadhus, saints, and respectable men of the Brahman class, Kshatriya class, and the Vaishya class, they won't even be talking about Krishna. Not even the Brahmins would be. And the government will be transferred to the hands of those who are in the lower class, śūdra class, the employer type class, or even the chandalas, the dog eaters, those who are lower than the śūdra class. And all the sacrifices that are to be performed, bhoktaram yagya tapasa, sacrifices to be performed for the benefit of our own selves, because we perform it to Krishna, that also will be stopped. Not even the Brahmins will be doing it. Sacrifices even by word. And you know the sacrifice by word that we're doing now? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So at the end of Kali-yuga, people won't be chanting the holy name. An easy way to develop love of Godhead and go back to the Lord, to the spiritual world. Even that they won't be doing. And so at that point, the Lord will appear and says, nothing works here to connect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, all of these souls have to be cleared out. And so those who are controlling things, the Kshatriyas, will be chastised. The Kshatriyas involve themselves in war. They are controllers and also the military. Therefore, the Lord comes as Kalki, a military general, the supreme general, and he will get rid of all of these people. So, the Srila Prabhupada says, this situation in Kali-yuga, the symptoms of the worst conditions of the material world, that is always in Kali-yuga, the last stage of all the ages. So the conditions are being stated here. To put it all together, there's one word that Srila Prabhupada has used to describe the condition: godlessness. Godlessness. Not even the saints and the higher castes, or those who are called twice born, would even be connected with God consciousness. They will all become atheists. Srila Prabhupada went into a little detail to explain what twice born means. Well, twice means two, therefore there's one before two, The first birth is the one between father and mother, man and woman. That makes the sexual connection makes the woman pregnant, and that soul comes into the womb, and the body is formed. It supplies the consciousness, the soul does, and the person is born. That is the first birth. Now, why did Srila Prabhupada call it animal birth? Because all animals go through it. All living entities go through it in the different ways by which they produce of their own kind. Hmm? So that's the first birth. And Srila Prabhupada deliberately put the word animal there because it's based on the body. Animals only live for the body. So if people are also living as human beings, but with consciousness that are a little more sophisticated than the way animals are living, but they're just living to eat, to sleep, to mate, and to defend, then it is only a sophisticated animal life. And God consciousness has been taken out of it. We are only 5,000 years into Kali-yuga, but already quite a few people are using God consciousness or preaching, so-called preaching, just to make money. And many people don't believe in God. And many people who don't understand that we are in jail question the intent and integrity of God. You say there is God. Some people even say, oh yeah, God's son came, Jesus. But has that stopped the earthquakes? Has that stopped the tornadoes? Has that stopped whatever, the weather from being as bad as it is? Nobody understands what the situation is. That we were envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we really have been put in his jail. And in jail, we shouldn't expect things to be all wonderful. Then it wouldn't be jail then. If it's wonderful, it should be heavenly. It should be wonderful. That way. But it isn't like that. So even in the heavenly planet is the higher planetary systems where there's more supply of material things. And when the life is a little easier to deal with, there is still birth, death, old age, and disease. And there's still envy. And people go after each other in a negative way. Some of the ills that happen here that we know on this earth happen there also. Sometimes with people that are supposed to know better. But the general character of people is better than what's here on the earth, certainly better than the demonic people of the lower planets. Still, it's only a slight relief in the heavenly planet. And if you worship a demigod, then that's where you're going to be taken to. That planet for that demigod, which is a higher material planet. But as long as we're in the material world, we're not ready, we're not out of trouble. The material world is designed not to make us happy, as bad as it sounds. If material world is a prison, then prison is not designed, as we well know, even the prisons in our countries now, they're not designed to make people happy. They're designed to bind you. Every time you go through a door, it's locked behind you. And things are done based on the rules of the prison. You can only do so much. Some things you're not allowed. That at the cosmic level, the large creation level, is what happens in the material world. So if that is the case, problem is so many people don't know and they're trying to find solutions to this place, which is a prison. But if you understand it's a prison, what's prison for? Punishment. And then you try to get out, do the right thing while you're in the prison so you can get parole. And that is Krishna consciousness. The activities to do to get paroled that come under Krishna consciousness, to develop a better character and to understand who is the boss, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and stop thinking about being the boss yourself. Or I should stop thinking about being the boss myself and surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so when we do that, surrendering meaning that we have to obey his instructions, then we'll be in the right track. So now things are getting worse and worse and worse. And there are wars all over the place and new ones developing. There are some that are only days old now. because people are godless, people don't have transcendental knowledge, they butcher each other. And Srila Prabhupada has also talked about the fact that if we harm other living entities for no good reason, then we are going to be harmed. That's the way life is. We kill without thinking about it, not even caring about the being that whose body we've taken, especially meat eating. That's why it's one of the regulative principles that we stop from meat eating. The body is not supposed to eat meat. You kill the cow, who it's been proven in this the higher taste, the book called Higher Taste. Facts have been put in the higher taste to show that the cow is better economically for the world when he's alive, she's alive. Cow and bull, when they're alive, economically we gain more than when we kill them. So these slaughterhouses, as the Papa call them, scientific slaughterhouses, they are causing so much problems. People don't know, and this is why Krishna consciousness is so powerful. People don't know that by eating meat, we are supporting a business that's killing animals just simply to have a taste of their flesh, when the human being is supposed to be living on vegetables. Our teeth structure is like that. We don't have the long canine teeth that you find in tigers and lions and cats and dogs. We don't have those. Our tooth structure in our mouths are supposed to grind, and that's vegetables, and nuts and milk. And we're eating the wrong thing when those vegetables are available. We're not in a dire situation where there's no vegetables at all and you have to try to survive. Therefore, you go after whatever you can eat that the body would accept. We're not in that situation. So the culture is going down. So the firstborn, as we talked about, is the first birth is that from the mother and father. Then the second birth, that is being formally introduced or connected with our disciplic succession. Initiation, we call it. That's so a person that has that situation in their life, they are twice born. First by physical birth, and then by spiritual birth, connecting with Krishna. And that is what we're supposed to be about. We got to get that, and then the spiritual master will guide us, and Krishna would allow us back as long as we follow the instructions of the spiritual master. So people are now living śūdra life, lower life, and they only think about making money, but that is ugakam. Factories producing all kinds of things that people don't really need. Food is being produced. People are growing. And of course, it's still nature that supplies the food stuff. We only put the seed in the ground. The seed is also from nature. But because of greed, we've changed the way we even deal with groceries, vegetables, putting all kinds of, because we want more, the businesses want more money, putting all kinds of toxins in there so that it will kill the germs, so that that particular fruit or produce would last longer. And in the meantime, it causes problems to our bodies. So this is the lower level consciousness, lower consciousness that people are in. We're trapped in it. And that's why we have to break and live a life that is much better. It's called simple living and high thinking. So the state of people in Kali-yuga is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 30, in text 48. It says, people don't have knowledge of the eternity of the spiritual soul and its transmigration. This is such a simple fact that many people don't know. Yet the fact of the matter is the spirit or the soul, same thing, spirit or soul, is eternal. Just like Krishna is eternal, the soul is eternal. We are part and parcels of Krishna. And its transmigration Here in the material world, there's no transmigration in the spiritual world. Hmm? But based on what people say they want in the material world, or what they've done that's wrong, that they need to be punished, they are put in another body after death, in one life, go to the next life. And this is what's going on. People don't even know that. You ask many of these religionists, they think that this is the only time we came here and this is the last time we live on this earth and it's only one life. But if you ask them to explain, how come some people are so talented that at a very young age, they can play keyboard, piano like a very wonderful old maestro that's been playing it for years, and he's only 5 years old? How? You ask any religionist, they can't give any good answer to it. Yet it is the transmigration that causes it, because when the soul leaves the body of a person that's been playing in the previous life, playing and such an expert in playing the keyboard, that ability, it goes with the subtle body. The mind and the intelligence are taken along with the soul into its next existence. So when that person gets born again, which is a transmigration situation, that ability is already there. So as soon as they get to the point where they can reason, they can think, they can do things, the body develops. And that's that 5 years old, 6 years old, at that point, they can communicate, they can reason to some extent. They don't have much experience about life. And that for that particular lifetime. But that ability is there. And therefore, if they connect with the right instrument, they will be immediately a genius, because they've been doing it for years in the previous life. But people don't think that even there's their previous life. So how would they know how to explain what talent is? It's just amazing how this person can play like that. I don't know. And the rest of the people just envying that little boy that he can play, or little girl that he can play like that. But it is all from transmigration, that the subtle body, which is the mind and intelligence and the sense of identity, the ego, go on to the next body along with the soul. We go to the next body with all the abilities. So Srila Prabhupada has told us that in some categories of dreams that we have even at night, this is what happens. It's just a playback of some of the things that happened in the previous lives. That's not the only thing. Sometimes what happens even in one day, if we think about it a lot, it can also manifest when we go to sleep and the subtle body becomes active. That can also manifest. But some of the dreams are from previous life. But talent is a it's very obvious. Boy, with only a year or so of playing keyboard, should not be such an expert, all things being equal. So if he becomes an expert, which means he's been doing it. There was one little girl in Gitanagri that when we were there in the late 90s, was just going to school in the school that's right on the dam itself. A place just small, created just for the devotee children to go to school. I knew this girl. She was kind of struggling with her, math and any other things. Then somehow or other, this arrangement is made. Of course, Krishna is the cause of all causes behind everything. The mother got her for talking. She said she was interested in learning how to play the violin. So the mother bought a violin for her. Mother was Satyajit Maharaj's disciple, this kind of devotee. This girl, within a space of 1 month, when she learned the keyboard, how to place her hands on the violin, by the end of a year, she was expert. Expert. We were all pleasantly surprised that she could play violin like that in such a short time. So she took classes and got better and better and better. And so she went to Penn State and she took music as a major. And then she started performing, this is in big setups and big meetings and so on. She was performing. How? In such a short while, as soon as she picked up the violin, it all changed. Because she had to be a musician in the previous life. And she just brought that ability. But people don't know. So people have become what? Manda sumanda matayo. This is the way people are now in Kali-yuga. What are people like? They're bad. We have a lot more criminals, not more criminals in our lives. Lazy, unfortunate, and disturbed by material conditions. As long as we live a life that is not in the mode of goodness, the demigods are charged to warn us by making the weather worse and worse and worse. This is why. So the other side of it is, if we live a decent life in the mode of goodness, Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, text 42 describes all the qualities in the mode of goodness, the way Brahmins live. If we live that way, just to be a good person, and more people are like that, it would actually affect even the weather, because the demigods control the weather. And they know in the places where people are living God-conscious type lives, they don't get too much trouble. So it all depends, even now while we're in this material jail, how we live our lives. So Kali-yuga is not going to be easy. Manda Sumanda Matayu, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 10. Papayena Pariyusa Sabya, Kala Asmin Yugānte, Manda Sumanda Matayu, Manda Bhagya Hiu Pradruta. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have but short lives. And we have evidence of that now. Short lives. They are quarrelsome, they are lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. This is the situation in the life that we're in now. In Satya Yuga, if you had a house, you wouldn't have to put a lock on the door. Everybody is cared for nicely by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even while we're in the material world. And people don't feel the need to go disturb others in this way by theft. But now lives are short, people are quarrelsome, people are lazy, and they're misguided. Just like we talked about this example of how people get talent. Many people don't know, but it is actually through transmigration. They hunted a property. So people are actually miserable, but they're trying to find ways to be happy. So Kali-yuga is a very difficult time. And also in a difficult time, this is the time that Krishna is giving the mercy. The mercy in terms of how to develop love of Godhead in the simplest way possible by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Remember, in this particular translation of this text, it says at the end of Kali-yuga, you can't even do that. Nobody will be doing that. So-called Brahmins won't be doing that. They will not be discussing Krishna. They won't chant Krishna's name. They will not. And that's why Kalki Avatar comes and then gets rid of everybody. So, people in different political creeds and parties, say Papa is saying, all are only interested in how to sense, to enjoy their senses, sense gratification, and the different things to divert the mind from the problems of the earth that we live in, such as cinemas and sports and gambling and clubs and mundane libraries and bad association and smoking and drinking and cheating and pilfering and bickering, which means fighting here and there, and so on. The minds are disturbed and they're full of anxieties. So many different bad engagements cause this. This is the life we're living in. So we don't have to be like that. If many men are going in that way, and we decide to go the other way, to reach out to Krishna, and Krishna wants us so badly to go back home because he loves us that much, way more than we love even ourselves. If we love ourselves very well, we'll take very good care of everything around us, including our own bodies. We don't do that so well. So Krishna has sent his pure devotee to come teach us how to live, what to eat, what not to eat, and how to connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the point that we will get to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is what everybody, every living entity in the spiritual world does. Then we'll be in our original position again. So what's going to happen currently? There is the golden age coming up. Some people would say it started already by the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. But it will really get to the point where it will be obvious that this place will be very peaceful and it will be like a heavenly planet. It won't be like the spiritual world, definitely, because this material world will never be like the spiritual world in activity, ever. So for 10,000 years, a short golden age comes. Because the golden age itself, Satyuga, is 1,728,000 years. But 10,000 years, in some of the books like the Bible and so on, the holy books, they talk about that also. So before this 10,000 years of a little more peace on this earth arrives, those that are causing problems have to be cleared. And as long as people are living, what happens? The demons, as long as they're living, they keep causing problems. That's why when Krishna comes, what does he do? He kills them. He gives them the mercy by taking them out of these bodies, and then he will elevate them because he just gives mercy in that way. So in this situation, the current situation, what Krishna is doing is he's arranging for wars between the nations to occur so that the world will be purged of the atheists. We look at things internationally, people who are bickering among themselves, they never say anything about God. The last time I heard any mention that God stepped in was when the current US president almost got killed. That it's almost like a turkey shoot, as they say, those who use guns. It should be very easy. It should have been very easy to get rid of him. With a lens weapon that will never miss. Somehow it missed. And it nicked this man's ear. You wound up killing somebody who wasn't on the campaign. He was just there to witness what was going on. Lost his life. And then people just sat back and say, even that they didn't say too loudly about it. It must be God. God saved me. He himself said, I'm not supposed to be here. People say, yes, you are. Yeah. But yes, you are means the Lord determined that he wasn't to leave his body at that time. So people have to understand, he is Sarvaloka Maheshwara. He's the control of everything. So if people become godless at the international level, then this is what's going to happen. Nobody should be surprised if you're in Krishna consciousness. Nobody should be surprised about the wars that's going on. When Krishna came, he had a Maha war, big war. Hundreds of millions of people got killed. That time there was proper arrangement. They weren't bombing, the residences of people who are not regular people who are not soldiers. They would meet at one place. So that time the battle was at Kurukshetra. And before that, there's the battles in the different places, even in this country, before it became independent. There are specific places, some of it is here in Pennsylvania, that the wars occurred. And the wars are done that way. Only soldiers fight each other. And whichever side wins, that means that part has that place, or whoever is controlling, they now, or whoever is the leader, becomes the controller of the area. So Krishna had the war happen in Kurukshetra. It's a place of pilgrimage, but also that's where they had the war. And the idea was to put a Raja Rishi, Maharaji, there. So that's going to happen here also. So I used to personally be so disturbed in wars, and now they show it, how bombs come and the people are, killed and people are hurt and so on. But in the overall cosmic way of looking at things, it's also a cleansing. It really, from a Krishna standpoint, that's a cleansing. Because the body is not really us. The soul is the real person. And the soul doesn't get killed by even an atomic bomb. You cannot annihilate the soul with anything here on this earth. So the real living entity never gets killed. But the body is displaced and taken away. And therefore, if our minds were not serving properly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he will arrange. when things get too much, we have also got to understand another point. When things get very bad on the earth, Mother Bhumi, whose body is the earth, she gets disturbed. And Mother Bhumi is an eternal consort also of the Lord as Lord Varaha, the boar. That's his consort. That's consort. Therefore, when Mother Bhumi gets disturbed, then there has to be some changes. And the big way to do changes is to have wars. Now, Krishna doesn't actually set up wars because people are already bickering with each other. That's all they do is that the intensity increases and then boom, they start the wars. So recently, we have started many wars. Many wars. Some of them are 3 years old now. Some of them have been going on for a long time. And some of them are like 5, 6 days old. Now, it goes on. But it's to clear the troubles that people cause from one nation to another. And when things get really bad, then Kalki Avatar will step in. And then after that, as is in the 12th canto, after that, then a new Satyuga will be started. Another Satyuga will be started. So, how to get out of this? How to become successful of life, regardless of all the craziness? That's explained in Nectar of Instruction. 6 principles to live by. And we can execute pure devotional service if we live by those. Utsaha nishaya dharya tat tat karma prabhatanat. Sangat yagat sato vrite sadbhi bhakti prasiditi. So the first is to be enthusiastic in Krishna consciousness. Nobody should be dull in Krishna consciousness. You will not be happy that way. Enthusiasm is very important. Then when you're serving, serve with confidence. You're serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What does confidence mean? It is the best thing in my life that I'm doing. It is the best thing in my life. That's just confidence. Just to be aware that this is the best thing for me and for everybody that I serve. All devotees, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Spiritual Master. And so we keep doing whatever comes in our way. We do everything we can, any impediment, to get it out of the way. Either move it out of the way or go around it, but never stop serving. Don't serve at your convenience. Serve because you know that Krishna wants that the spiritual master will be happy. So we endeavor, and we endeavor with confidence, as confidence explained. Also, the third point is to understand that things just don't happen according to our time. It happens according to Krishna's time. Therefore, Krishna's time, and Krishna does not have to has to tell you, I'm going to do this at this time. If he tells you he's going to do certain things, that's up to him. But if he doesn't, we are just servants of servants. So what's the way to go about this in service? Be patient. Patience, very, very important. Then we are given the way in which to live, the principles that help us to develop love. Devotional service is broken down into Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. It is in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23, 7th canto, 5th chapter, text 23. Prahlad Maharaj is explaining. Hearing, chanting, remembering, those are the main things. And others are there, praying, offering, so on. Anyway, I won't go through all the 9 processes, but it's there if you want to know. It's 7.5.23. Then, non-devotees don't give us anything in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we stop associating with them. Only associate as is needed, but not so close in everything that we do. No. At work, associate, be nice, because that gives you a good impression about who you are, and it also reflects on the society, this kind of society. Be nice, but when it comes to your time, your free time, you should all be in Krishna consciousness. So you abandon the association of non-devotees, going to them only as needed for just your work, and that's it. Follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. That's the last point. Follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. Why footsteps? Well, an acharya is a person that teaches Krishna consciousness, but lives by it too. They teach and also live by. And so if you go by what they've taught and what they're doing, then you're following their footsteps. If you do what they do, you're following footsteps. So that's what that means. So the 6 points are, again, being enthusiastic in Krishna consciousness. When they're having kirtan, be part of it. Don't sit in the wall like that and, you're not going to enjoy. You have to enjoy Krishna consciousness when there's kirtan. Put all your effort into it. Being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to the regulated principles, what to do and what not to do, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and you follow the footsteps of previous acharyas, then it wouldn't matter we're living in Kali-yuga. These 6 principles will assure us a complete service of pure success in pure devotional service. To live by it, finally. Krishna is wishing everybody well. Guru is wishing everybody well. Take advantage of it, as Srila Prabhupada says. Be serious in your Krishna consciousness. Keep hearing. You will definitely improve the Krishna consciousness if you hear consistently. So Srila Prabhupada is waiting for us in the spiritual world. So many arrangements have been made for devotees in this particular society. We just have to take advantage of it. Here and also the spiritual world, we find out how much has been done for us just because we are in this movement. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. I actually went a little bit over, but this is a time for devotees to unmute yourself. And if you want to share some thoughts and takeaways or ask questions, you can do that. Hare Krishna. So any questions or comments? Again, I apologize that I went, well, looking at the time, it's actually past 9 now. But you can, be part of some conversation if you want to. Okay, I'm not hearing anything now. So
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance to Prabhupada. One of my takeaway from this class is it's a reminder to all of us. Is sometimes we get caught up in what we see that's good, what we see that's not good. When it's good, we think life is going beautiful. When it's not good, then we realize, oh my God, why am I here? And I think we tend to lean more towards life is great, and because that seemed to be more attractive. Then we forget when we go through tough times and why we're going through tough times. And I think that tough times is a reminder, should be a reminder, should be a reminder to us that this world is not my home. This place is not my home. I'm just passing through, and I'm just passing through to get out, not to keep coming back over and over and over again. And I think we should definitely try to develop the strong desire and the impetus, to do whatever it takes to get back to Godhead, to make this the last life. Like Prabhupada says, it just takes 1 second to become, Krishna conscious, just like that. 1 minute, but we are not able to surrender because we are caught up in so many distractions and especially and it all boils down to the mind. I think it boils down to the mind and the false ego. These two things. I can't even say intelligence, because if we had the right intelligence, then we'll be able to beat up the mind and the false ego. So I'm going to put the intelligence on the side for now, at least for me. But I think it's the mind and the false ego that makes us really think that we just got it together, but we really don't. So, which really means that it boils down to the point that you were sharing, how important it is for us to be in the right association. To be in the right association, so that the right association is what's going to take us out of this bondage, because only devotees can do this. I mean, as it says in the 10 offenses, the last one is kalpavriksha, that the devotees are like kalpavriksha. Now we just got to make sure that we go to the right
desire
kalpavriksha.
trees. They're like desire trees, kalpavriksha.
Yeah, desire trees, yes. But we just got to go to the right desire tree, not to the wrong one. But yeah, it really boils down to association, right association that will help us grow spiritually, not become more egoistic and building our false ego, and our mind is being a rascal. We're not able to surrender. We're not able to, whatever the issues are. And I think for me is whenever such issues, whenever I feel like I have those issues, that is blocking me, is because I'm in the wrong association. So we really got to be careful that we're in the right association. But yeah, that this class is a very good reminder for us to really take it. We have to be in the emergency consciousness. So that's what's coming to my mind. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a good summary of things that you picked up from this, and also how you've explained it. Thank you very, very, very much. Just the only thing I'll say is that even if you have an opportunity, if you have the rare opportunity, this is rare. Very few people are doing devotional service in this world. Very few people. Just because we come to the temple and we're around other devotees who are serving, it seems like a lot of people are serving. Very few people are serving. There are 7,500 million people on the earth. And in ISKCON, 2 million people are members. So how many people are serving? Can you compare 2 to 7,500? It's a very small number. So we're very fortunate, anyone that's doing the service. Therefore, the point we're making is, don't take service as something on the side that you do. You have to have something social that I do, and devotion service is just another part of my social life. No, it is actually the critical thing. Everything else you're doing is a temporary life. It's part of temporary life. So devotion service is important. That's why in every temple, if you are going to be part of serving in the temple, you will be scheduled to do things, because there has to be commit to Krishna. And that's why there is a schedule. So even if you say, oh, I want to do some devotion service, I want to do some service, I'll take devotion out deliberately for a reason. You want to do some service, but you have no commitment. You're giving a service, then, I'm not really at this point ready to do this, and I have other things to do, and usually they're material things. Other places I want to go and enjoy my senses, therefore somebody should do my service for me. The service attitude should be like having a newborn baby. Having a newborn baby, it's like the mother is saying, if I don't care for this baby, that's going to be the end of this baby's life. So service should be on our on our minds, in terms of the effort that we got to put in. Put in effort. That's what you endeavor. That should be the attitude. My service is mine. I'll tell you one quick story. There's Mataji left the body, Papa disciple. His name is Mother Kalini. So I had a service of waking up the Lord in the morning before Mangalati. So I'm there around 3:15 to the temple. Go first to the kitchen, because the preparation of sweets for the Lord has to be made first, and then we're ready about 3:35 thereabouts. At that time, Mangalati was 4:15. By 3:35, 45 minutes or so, we prepare. And then also one of the things that I have to do is make sure that Tulsi, the particular Tulsi, we had some Tulsi plants, a particular one is chosen for the Tulsi Puja later in the morning. Now, I started taking, because I knew what the Tulsi dress were, the time very nicely designed around the flower pot itself, Tulsi. So then I would choose the plant, one of those, the Tulsi dresses. That, at that time, I did not know that it was actually Mother Kalini's service to choose, because they would choose those of people that were dressing the deities. After Mangalati, we dress the deities. The color, the general color that's used to dress the deities, also is taken into consideration when the particular dress for Tulsi is chosen. So if it's all supposed to be for the deities, the main color is green that day, then there will be a green type of dress for Tulsi also. But then I would choose any one of them, because at that point I didn't know what was going to happen in terms of what dress color to go, because I wasn't on the altar to do dressing, only to do puja. And this went on for a while. And one time, the lady came to me very annoyed. And I was like, what have I done? And she was explaining to me, she said, you have taken my service. First of all, you don't come on the altar to dress the deity, so you don't know which one. And then she explained to me, she calmed down and explained to me, a particular dress has to be chosen, a particular color for Tulsi. And since you don't know at the time you're serving which major color is going to be on the altar for dressing the deities, you cannot possibly choose the right one. If you choose it, that would be just a lucky choice. So you have to leave the service. She was that committed to her service, and therefore, when I thought I was helping, she had to correct me and tell me no. So she was that, connected to the service. She was serious about it. The story is about how serious Mother Kalini was. So yeah, I understood it and stopped, choosing a dress for Tulsi and left her to do her service. But that should be the consciousness. Take it seriously. So those who think that, oh, I'm initiated, now I can do this. Now I'm second initiated, I can go on the altar, but whenever I like, that's not devotion. That is service at your convenience. That doesn't take you back to Godhead. You can't develop love for Krishna that way either. So if you're devoted, then you're serious about what you do. If you do some service as you like, whenever you like, that is service at your convenience. That is not bhakti at all. At all. That's Kanishta level, third class level thinking. So we have to be serious with our service. That's the whole point. Endeavor with confidence. Hare Krishna. Any other points? If not, then thank you all for coming in. This is the end of the week, the weekday Friday. So have a wonderful Krishna conscious weekend. There's one more question coming. Dear Krishna Prabhu, please unmute yourself. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances.
Accept mine,
All
God.
glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for wonderful, wonderful points, very practical points.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy.
One question, Prabhu, I have is like in Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami mentions, that is even not in the chapter, in the introduction, that the devotion depends on the attitude of the devotee.
Yes.
So what I understood from that is, no matter, we might be very talented in various things, we might have a lot of skills, but if our attitude is not favorable, not anukul, not favorable to Krishna's mood, then it is difficult to get that love for Krishna. So is it, now when we talk about attitude, is it something can be transformed or changed easily, or how to transcend that attitude? Because we have so many sanskars and so many habits that's very hard to get rid of.
Yeah, very good question. The attitude towards service, if the attitude, even if the person is skilled, in some of the services in terms of physically what they have to do, but the attitude is not good, then it won't come over well. That is a very important point. We'll talk about the solution. Important because Krishna actually watches our intention in our service, how much our hearts are open to serving him. What is the aim of our service? The aim should be to please Krishna's senses, to satisfy Krishna's senses, as instructed by the spiritual master on how to do it. There's specific ways to do it, and we do. Now, if somebody doesn't have that enthusiasm or the attitude is not good, one of the simplest ways to go about it is to associate with a person that has a good attitude towards service. Make sure you're around them. That's why when the mention is, the classes of devotees are mentioned, Uttama, Madhyam, and Kanishta. First class devotee, second class devotee, third class devotee. So a person as a third class devotee would act like this. The attitude towards service is not great, even though they may be skilled. First class devotee is very fixed up. The attitude is wonderful. You seek such a person, you associate with them. You associate, you learn. Just like in a mundane example, Don't know how to play tennis. You want to play tennis badly, but you hit the ball all over the place. But if you associate with a person that's good at playing it, and he shows you do like this, you do like this, and you start adjusting the racket and hitting it properly, meeting it properly, all the things that go to hitting good balls so you can win, you get good at it. So you just simply have to associate with a person that does that. And also, one of the things that helps in attitude is do things. It's all practice. Practice by doing the right thing at the right time. And that would also begin to turn our attitude in the positive way. Because if we do the right thing at the right time, it becomes a habit of doing the right thing at the right time. And finally, everybody carries the Supreme Personality of Godhead in their hearts. We should never be offensive to people in general, especially to devotees. You take those things into consideration, then that attitude can be turned around into a positive one. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. I have a follow-up question, but I will ask you
Sure.
later. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. All right. So, please go ahead.
I wanted to, that was a very nice question from Dear Krishna. Prabhu, what's coming to my mind is I think, definitely, we need to have the right service attitude to perform the service. And for many of us, Prabhupada says we've been told by our acharyas that we have to tread on the Vaidhi Bhakti platform, following the rules and regulations. And the more that we follow the rules and regulations of devotional service, of bhakti yoga, of spiritual practice, then the more it becomes second nature to us because we have not been doing this. So it's like trying to straighten a dog's tail, lack of a better word, And I think what I am seeing that, Prabhu, is devotional service is one of the medicines for Krishna consciousness. I think we are, it's really good that we think of chanting, we think of reading, we think of hearing, we think of, whatever. But performing devotional service is our medicine. It's one of the medicines, like for example, like like if a patient who has multiple health problems and they are given 10 medicines to take every day, if they miss one or two of the medicine, and they're only taking 8, the body is not going to function. The body, one part or one aspect of this illness will be, faulty, lack of a better word, will be, getting worse because the patient or the person has been missing 1 or 2 of the medicine, but doing all the other 8 because the person is not having the discipline to be able to build that attitude of commitment. So I think that is what I am seeing it as of Krishna consciousness is we have many medicines to take. And if we just take all the medicines as we are given by the acharyas, by the spiritual master, following the discipline, like to take the medicine, we have to be very, very disciplined. When there's no discipline, the medicine ain't going to work. We cannot take the medicine once a day when it's 3 times a day. It's not going to work. We're just going to get more and more sick. And so I think, to develop the right service attitude for devotional service, it requires discipline to take the right medicine. It requires a lot of discipline. And discipline means what? Being a very good student, disciple. And disciple means a spiritual student. And a student is, like we know in school, they have to follow the rules of the school, the conduct. Don't do this, don't do that. This is the timing, that is the timing, and they have to follow. And if they slack, then they get a warning. So that's what's coming to my mind, Prabhu, is service attitude can be increased, can work if they are committed, disciplined, determined, willing to follow the rules and regulations. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, and if you get coaching from the person who's been doing it a long time and follow that, then it becomes second nature, and then you can do it properly. And then you begin to enjoy doing it. And then you give your heart to, that's how you give your heart to service, and you give your heart to Krishna that way. Hare Krishna. Dear Krishna Prabhu, please do the follow-up question, if you don't mind.
Later, Prabhu, I think it's a little late, so I will ask you a little later, if that's okay.
You said you were going to do it, so if you don't mind, we can maybe take a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So the question is,
we'll give a
Prabhu.
short answer.
Yeah. Thank you. The question is because if my attitude is not right, and if the solution I'm looking for is associated with the people who have right attitude, but if I'm able to explain this point clearly, then if I am in the wrong attitude, how will I, even know that whom to associate with, or because I'm into my own world. So I'm thinking in that sense.
The results will show.
Mm.
The results will show what we're doing. If it's not coming across well, it will show. Krishna would arrange to show us. Krishna would arrange to have maybe a member of the management come and point some things out to us to do differently. That's an indication of you're not doing well. And then we should put our false ego aside and go by the instruction and fix it. That's the way to do it.
Oh, wonderful.
But if we're going to stay in our own world, then we made that choice. Then we won't grow in Krishna consciousness.
Wonderful. Yeah, I like that point. Krishna will show us because he's the controller.
Yeah. Oh, he arranges. He's always watching. Lord in the heart arranges for things to get done properly. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Any final questions? Okay. So thank you all for coming on and being patient enough to stay through the whole thing. Yeah, it turned out to be a longer lecture, but it's good for all of us. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again, everybody. Have a nice, wonderful Krishna conscious weekend. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Go Srila Prabhupada.